right. Welcome, everybody. We are going to be starting the show shortly at about 8:30 p.m. Chris is going to take the stage, so we're going to ask everybody to find a place to sit down. If you need any more seats, let us know. We got plenty of chairs that we can set up. Okay, test 1, 2. Check 1, 2. All right. Okay. So in just a few minutes, our show is going to start. I'm going to ask everybody to find a seat. If you need a chair or something like that, let us know. We've got lots of chairs all over the place that we can pull out. I hope everybody's had a chance to take advantage of all the little food and snacks we've got. We've got some red beans and rice up here that I made. There's popcorn. There's all kinds of goodies.
right now. You're here. Thank you. I want to, before we start, I want to thank the PinChurch for having me here. And I want to thank all those who are looking in from Myanmar and Botswana and Bimini, Illinois, Florida, California, Oregon, and Washington. And I also want to acknowledge that we have visitors here all the way from Bywater. And I really want to thank them very much for coming, because they'll have to get shots or something. I'm not sure how that works, according to the people that live over there anyway. But anyway, I really appreciate them coming in, and I appreciate all of y'all coming in. My name is Numa. I know where you got them shoes, Shaq Snyder. And I am here to share a little satirical essay about the Sewage and Water Board. I'm not talking about the people who might be in the audience, in case they're wondering. But the name of my essay is Failure. Failure. Now we're going to start. They told us that this was a 100-year flood, which means that's a rainstorm that you only get once every 100 years. Well, we're lucky in New Orleans because we get 100-year floods 3 or 4 times a year, it seems. And what's always fascinated me about the 100-year flood, when they tell us that this is a 100-year flood or a 200-year flood or whatever the hell they say, why don't they just say, well, you know, that was a 97-year flood yesterday. And then the next time they could say, that was a 103-year flood. And that way, they wouldn't, challenge our intelligence. Not that we have much of it, obviously, but nonetheless, you know what I mean? 100-year flood. Now, Mr. Grant, Cedric Grant, was the head of the Sewage and Water Board. And he said right at that time that all of the pumps in New Orleans were working that day, which turned out to be not true, or as they say in some dictionaries, a lie. So, in fact, the Lakeview pump station didn't even have anybody there. So while Lakeview was underwater, they sent one of their crack engineers over there, and he went up in there, waded through the water, went up in there, and history does not show whether he went like this, like this, like this, or like this, but he flipped the switch. And as soon as he flipped that switch, the water started receding immediately, because that meant that the pumps were on. Now that is what we call in New Orleans science. Science. Now, failure in New Orleans is a career move. Mr. Grant, Ms. St. Martin, Mr. Corbin, they got these hellacious pensions for being in charge of the Sewage and Water Board. Believe me, they get the best pensions, I think, in the city. So, I got to thinking right after that, because about 2 months later, Mr. Grant, Mr. Becker, they retired. That's punished them. For that punishment, they got huge retirement plans. So that's why New Orleans is a career move for failure. But then one of my suspicions came to the surface. I've often felt that in heaven, they have a symbolism department, and Herman Melville and Nathaniel Hawthorne are on the New Orleans desk. So they replaced Mr. Grant with a guy named Mr. Rainwater. And the spokesperson for the Sewage and Water Board was a guy named Rainey. Now, I know that the Corps of Engineers are on Leak Avenue, so we have a pattern here. But I mean, Rainwater, Rainey, I mean, using this logic, Snoop Dogg should be the head of the CIA. So if you wake up tomorrow and the Picayune says that Stormy Daniels is the next head of the Sewage and Water Board, you better head for the hills. Now, as it turns out, failure is not free. In New Orleans, anyway, costs a lot of money. Sewage and Water Board, I think their budget is $473 million this year. It's almost $500 million. So just to bring it home, they have to pay for pensions, they have to pay for salaries, things like that, I understand. Well, we had a flood the other day around on Carrollton Avenue. I was in my neighborhood, and there's water every place, and got to thinking about it, and that flood is not free. Let's say that you are a normal ratepayer, you pay $1,295 a year in water bills per average. So we figured it up. If you were standing in that water up to your waist and there was a trout nibbling on your hiney, and you're looking at your flooded car, you personally paid for that flood. You paid $266 for that flood. Of course, unless there's another 100-year flood, then it might go down to $197 that you paid for each of those floods. But Mr. Grant, Ms. St. Martin, Mr. Corban, with their great pensions, they were in charge of the Sewage and Water Board, which purifies our drinking water, except that 70% of the water that they purify is lost to leakage because of our pure infrastructure and antiquity of our system and the pure upkeep over the years. So Mr. Grant, Ms. St. Martin, and Mr. Corban, they must have a little, they want to give something back to the community. So I understand they're going to start doing seminars for alcoholics to teach them how to drink as much as they ever have while spilling 70% of the liquor. So that's their heart's in the right place. Now, of course, in the future, the city officials will tell you the answer to the Sewage and Water Board, as well as the Sewage and Water Board heads will tell you this. The answer is money. That's right, more money. But they're not talking about the money that we gave them for the last 75 years that they pissed down the toilet. No, they were talking about new money. Now, if they're so worried about money, you'd think that they would have a crack billing system. But evidently, they can't even send you a bill properly. The other day, I saw some poor person, they got a $58,000 bill for the last month. And the Sewage and Water Board said, we want to be fair, so we're going to look into it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So this bill, they don't have as much stuff on this bill as you might think. I look on it real close every time because there's garbage on there besides the water. And I'm afraid that they're going to charge me like 35 cents every month to help pay off Zion Williamson's contract. Sneak it in there, you wouldn't see it, something like that. They used to estimate the bills, but they said they're not going to do that anymore. And I wondered, how did they do that? And then somebody told me that what they do is they walk outside at night and they lick the dew. And then they go inside and then they guess. Well, I should work for the Sewage and Water Board because I forgot my one prop in the other room. So anyway, during Mitch Landrieu's last month, he actually bought a $10.2 million billing software for the Sewage and Water Board. And after LaToya got in there, after 6 months, they said it didn't work. They couldn't get it to work. And basically, they were going to have to send the people back to school for $500,000 more to teach them how to use the $10.2 million software. And then the person who was the spokesperson for that time, I can't remember the lady's name, she said, well, there's nothing wrong with the software, she said. It's the people who are running the software. No shit. Okay. So anyway, at Numa Insulting, we are about solutions. Now, Numa Insulting is my consulting firm. We've been consulting since 1998 and insulting politicians since 1998. Now, since I left my prop in the other room, I'll just have to explain what my prop is. It's pretty simple. So we have come up with an answer to the billing problem. And what we did is we have a shoebox. And then we take a piece of loose leaf paper, and we tear it into 15 equal parts, the paper. We put random numbers on the paper, and we put it into the shoebox. Every month, we pull out one of the pieces of paper. It says $75. Okay. Sam Smith, $75. Pick out another one, $411. $411. Barbara Jones. And like that. Now, it costs nothing, and it works 100% of the time. And we figured out with the values that we used, it'll bring in the exact same amount of revenue that the present system does or is supposed to. Now, what do you get for your money when you pay that water bill? You pay for expertise. You pay for the $477,000 that Mr. Heyman gets paid, for instance. So let me share some of the expertise, the Sewage and Water Board, that you get. Last year, they were talking about a new engine pump they were going to have that would be ready for hurricane season in 12 months, but not in 2025. And of course, that system evidently didn't work correctly this summer, but nonetheless, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. But they said last year it would be ready in a year, which means it's not ready now for that. So this is what they told the city council. Well, what are we going to do this summer? And they said, well, we're going to keep our fingers crossed. So that's the expertise. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. Now, this year, they're worried about the pumps, the 126-year-old pumps under the bells. That, by the way, the pumps are 126 years old, but they still work. Meanwhile, we built a jail, new jail. Everything needs to be replaced in 10 years. Built a DNA lab for $25 million. In 4 years, it doesn't work. And they're complaining about the 126-year-old pumps that work. But nonetheless, they think that they're 126 years old, and soon they're going to corrode and they're going to give in. So I said, well, what are you going to do then? And they said, well, we don't know, they said. But we'll just have to think of something. We have to cross our fingers. We have to think of something. I mean, not what they're going to think of. I mean, now they don't have brake tags on the cars anymore in the roads. They're probably going to require you to have, like, life jackets in your car when they stop you or something, okay? That's what they're going to think of, you know. Now, the latest one was after this flood they had 2 weeks ago. They came out with the reason that this happened. And they said it was human error. Okay? Try this, like, you can try this yourself. Say that you on trial for murder. And you can understand, you say, you know, Judge, I did in fact murder Warren. But in my defense, it was human error. I wasn't trying to kill him. It was human error. And, you know, to err is human, to forgive divine, Your Honor. So the ball's in your court. I mean, everything that you ever happens to you in your life, you could say, well, it was human error. Human error. Okay, let's go on with our lives. Now, a couple of other things about the Sewage and Water Board, just to drive this little home on how good they are. They had a pump, one of these old huge, these huge, not pumps, but a turbine that went out of business. You know, it's up turbine 1, turbine 4, turbine 5. One, I can't remember what number it was, but it was broken. So they had to fix it. It was like cost $300 million to refurbish it or whatever. It took them 6 years to fix it. 6 years. In 6 years, I could dig up the fairground racetrack with a teaspoon and fill in Bayou St. John. 6 years. And this is one of my favorites. This is about 2 years ago. There's a big giant rainstorm goes through Lakeview, and it does not flood. But as soon, this is true, as soon as, so it's everything else I just said, okay? As soon as the rain stopped, the streets of Lakeview started filling up with water. Well, what happened? Well, this time the pumps worked. The only trouble was whoever was working the pumps in Lakeview, he put the pumps on backwards. So basically, after it stopped raining, they were pumping the lake into Lakeview. This is the expertise that you were paying for. Now, we have these umpteen water boil advisories. And it's like bird watching for me. It's like a hobby now. Because whenever they have one, you got to wait till the next day and they give you the excuse. Or you find out some kind of revelation that you never knew about the system. It's great. These are my two favorites. Water bowl advisory. Pumps couldn't work. Engines couldn't work because we had an electrical failure. Because a metallic balloon hit a transmission wire and shorted it out. So we didn't have any clean drinking water for an interval. So it comes out that it was a metallic balloon. Now we're talking about a metallic balloon that you can buy for $1.50 at the dollar store, knocked out our water system. Now, I just hope that Al Qaeda or ISIS, whoever's in charge now, doesn't find out about this, because I'm afraid that for $19.80, including tax, they could knock out the entire electric grid of the United States using this, you know what I mean? But my all-time favorite was this one. Paragraph 57 in the Picayune about the water bowl advisory from the day before. It said this. It said that our drinking water, some of our drinking water was purified, treated, whatever, how you're going to call it, by the use of a boiler that was over 70 years old, which is fine, probably works. But in order for this boiler to treat our water and for it to work, it had to be lit with a flame on the end of a piece of straw from a whisk broom. So, you know, I often wondered, why do I live here? Because, I mean, there were roads. I mean, we could leave. You know, some of these things happen, you know. But then I was thinking, I said, you know, now I know why I live here. Because, you see, I want to live in a modern city in the 21st century where the only thing that stands between me and my loved ones and a cholera epidemic is a flame on the end of a piece of straw from a whisk broom. It's a slam dunk. I mean, what are they going to tell you next? I can tell you what they're going to tell you next. They're going to tell you that Drew Brees ran on coal. That's right. He had a little flap on one of his cheeks. They would open it up and they would stoke him with coal. And you say, Numa, that's impossible. Do you live here? If you live here, you know that it is impossible for anything to be impossible. Failure. Thank you. Now, at Numa Insulting, we got a call the other day that from, I think, we don't know who it is, because usually people that call us, they don't want to say who they are. And they gave us $35 to come up with an idea to help New Orleans get rid of this deficit that they have, this horrendous deficit, city of New Orleans. They're scrambling for money. So the answer in New Orleans to most things is, one thing is music. People go, it's a go-to in New Orleans. So we came up with this idea at Newman and Sultan. We think it's a pretty good idea. We're going to have a Beatles cover album to raise money. It's called New Orleans Does the Beatles. And we're going to have politicians and notable people from around the city, and actually some people from out of state too are going to kind of help pitch in when they heard about it. And there's a lot of competition for these spots to be on this album. And we've got 14 cuts, and I'm going to go over those cuts with you right now. The first cut of the New Orleans Does the Beatles is Drive My Car. You know, baby, you can drive my car. It's going to be Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, who actually ran over two people in the French Quarter with her car. Now, she did say after that, she said, well, if I would have seen him, I wouldn't have hit him. So that shows she's got a nice heart. Now, we were pretty sure that Ms. Kirkpatrick was going to be the one to do this, but at the last minute, somebody came in and said, you know, we have somebody else that we might do it. And I said, okay, and who's that? And I went, oh, yeah. So that might be former Councilman Jared Brosette. So we don't know who's going to be doing it, but one of those will be doing Drive Your Car. Second cut is a medley, Rain and Good Day Sunshine by a group called the Chicken Littles, which is a choir of all of the TV weather people in New Orleans, who are always telling us that every day is a weather alert day and swelling me up beyond, comprehension. And the third cut is Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Now, of course, we were going to have the New Orleans Street Department do that one. But then, because of all these huge water main breaks, we decided maybe we might just have the Sewage and Water Board also, do that one, because they're working on the streets just as much as the Street Department are. The fourth cut is Fool on the Hill. Now, again, there was a lot of competition to be the lead singer on this one, because we went right to the Louisiana Congressional Group. And we had Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Cassidy and Ms. Letlow and Mr. Johnson, Mr. Scalise. And, but there was a standout for Fool on the Hill, and so the lead singer will be Clay Higgins. He's a little hard to, you can't beat him out of that one. But we will have all those aforementioned Republican politicians as backup singers. It's kind of like a Republican Pips. Fool on the Hill. Now, cut number 5 is She's a Woman, and that's going to be by Big Frida. That was a slam dunk, I think, that one. Now, at number 6, we're going to go far afield, and together again for the first time, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump will sing Back in the USSR. Back in the USSR, boy, you don't know how lucky you are. Number 7 is Nowhere Man. Now, this one, Nowhere Man, the competition was really good, hot and heavy for this one. We had 2 choices. It was either Sidney Bartholomew or Bobby Jindal, because nobody knows where the hell they are. So they were perfect for Nowhere Man. So we decided at the last minute we were going to have 2 albums. We'd have one, a red album, and one, a blue album, and one Sidney would do Nowhere Man, and the other one, Bobby Jindal, would do it. That way we would have more albums to sell, and people wanted to set, and there was a lot of people to raise money for New Orleans, so we figured, the more people buy them, the more better off. So, number 8 is Strawberry Fields Forever, which is, of course, the City Council of Ponchatoula. That's number 8. Number 9 is Taxman. Taxman is going to be Helena Moreno and Joe Giarrusso singing Taxman, because they want to put a fee and a surcharge on everything they possibly can. Number 10, we're using a little artistic license. It's called the OJC 10, New Orleans Justice Center 10, and they're going to sing We Broke Out Through the Bathroom Window. We broke out through the bathroom window. It's one of my favorites, Cut number 11 is Get Back by former chef Susan Hudson. Get back to where you once belonged. Little too late, Susan, little too late. Number 11 is Ticket to Ride. I'm sure you can't guess who that would be. That would be our former mayor, LaToya Cantrell. The backup on that will be by Officer Vappy. He's a one-man pip. She's got a ticket to ride. She's got a ticket to ride. My baby don't care. Yeah, I know that. The next cut is You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. And that's, of course, Miss Cantrell and Mr. Vappy, and they dressed up like Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. And, but, at the last minute, though, somebody said, well, you know what, we might want to have another version of that, too, because the federal prosecutor who put the case against Miss Cantrell together, he got in trouble for having an affair with his underling. So we might have an extra album, with 2 different versions. And the final cut is going to break new ground in recording history. For a 15-minute little epoch, we're going to have drones flying all over New Orleans with recording equipment, and anybody in New Orleans can come out on their balcony, come out on their porch, just go stand on the sidewalk, out on their stoop, just go stand on the levee for that 15 minutes, and the entire city is going to record this song. And that song is Help! Help! So we think that that'll probably bring in a lot of money for the city. The Beatles do New Orleans. Excuse me a second. Hello? Yes. Yes, this is Numa. I know where you got them shoes checks now. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. You're right. I should have answered it. Landry Care. Yeah. Let's call back. Okay. Landry Care. Yes. Yes. This is Landry Care. Yes. This is the Republican answer to health care. Yes, in Louisiana. It used to be called Jindal Care, but now it's called Landry Care. So you want to look? Yeah. Well, the one thing about Landry Care is that we want to try to bring costs down. Okay, in healthcare, and while still getting everybody coverage. Yes. So you want to learn about it? Okay, sure. Okay, well, this is what you do. First thing you have to do to be eligible for Landry Care, you have to sign a waiver, not an NDA. Okay, no, not a non-disclosure thing. No, that's something new. That might come, but that's not where we're at right now. What you have to do is you have to sign a form that says you do not want to become a member of the Christian Science religion. Yeah, because we figure if you're a Christian Scientist, then you don't need insurance. So you have to waive that. Okay. And the other thing is, you remember Nancy Reagan to drugs? She just said, "Don't just say no to drugs." Yeah. Well, you have to sign a pledge that to drugs, you just have to say, "Nuh-uh." Okay. Yeah. Nuh-uh. Just like that. Nuh-uh. Okay. All right. Okay. So you'll sign those. Okay. Great. Okay. Yes. Well, we have plans for everybody, and they're very cheap. Well, the first one is $100 a year. You heard it right. $100 a year for Landry Care. You can choose Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Okay, you're not covered like every day. No, just 3 days. Well, actually 4 days, because we throw in Sunday. Okay, but you can pick whichever one you want. Yeah. Well, it's cheap. That's right. Yeah. Well, if you can't afford that, well, we have a $50 plan. $50. That's right. $50 a year. You can just pick Monday. Yeah. So in other words, you have to get sick on Monday. Yeah, that's right. See, if you get sick on Thursday, you just kind of lay low, till Monday. Yeah. It's $50. It's a year. Yeah. Well, if you can't, well, we got one for $20 too. Yeah. For $20, we have, like, say you pick an hour. That way you're covered every day, but just for an hour, like, say 8 o'clock. Yeah, that means you're covered from 8 to 9. Yes, 8 to 9. You can pick AM or PM, but not both. No, just one or the other. That's right. And if you can't afford that, then there's a couple of things. One thing is, if you can't afford any insurance, we have something new. It's called the Louisiana Lottery Health Insurance scratch-offs. Yeah. So if you get sick, you just go to your 7-Eleven or whatever, and you buy as many scratch-offs of the health care as you can, and you scratch it. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you don't. Maybe you get health care, maybe you don't. Yeah. But if you can't afford anything, then we'll come to your house and we'll wrap you in cellophane. Yeah. But that way everybody gets covered. You see, you'll have insurance. You have a card that says it ain't worth anything, but you got it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, drugs. Yeah. Well, yes, we do have a drug thing. You have unlimited placebos. Unlimited placebos. You can get the plan where we send you an apple a day. Yeah. Keep the doctor away. Yeah. And then we have, and if you get really sick, we'll send, they said that music is healing, so we'll send somebody over to your house to play the violin outside your window. Yeah. Yeah. And then we also have a pick-your-own pharmacy. Yeah. We have, like, places out in the bushes where you go out there and you can roam around and pick stuff off of a bush. Maybe that'll help you, for drugs. Yeah. And the doctors, no, you can't keep your own doctor, but we have lots of doctors. We have, like, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Who, Dr. Scholl, Dr. J, Dr. Seuss. I mean, it goes on and on. Dr. Tishner, yeah, Dr. Yeah. A witch doctor too, if you want that. You want a witch doctor. Mental health? Oh yeah, we got mental health. We have a public-private partnership with Home Depot. Yeah, you walk past the screws and the nuts way up in the back. And they got a mirror back there, and and you sit in front of the mirror and you look at yourself and you kind of work out your problems with yourself. Yeah, do-it-yourself healthcare. That's right. And the other thing is we're thinking about maybe we're just going to outlaw mental health in Louisiana. It would be against the law to be mentally ill. So if you want to be mentally ill, you have to go to Arkansas, Mississippi, or Texas. That's east, north, and west. Don't go south, because then you'll be in a gulf. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, catastrophic illness, we have a plan for that too. Let's say, well, it depends on, if you have the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, let me see. Okay, now, if you have the 8 o'clock plan and you have a catastrophic illness, we give you a bus ticket to Canada. Yeah. And if you have the Tuesday plan, just on Tuesdays, your catastrophic plan, you get a boat ride to Cuba. Yeah. And if you have the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which is our deluxe, you get a airline ticket to England. Yeah, just one way. Yeah, just one way. Yeah, once they got you, you're their problem. Yeah, and we do have innovations. We have people who are worried about AIDS and stuff like that, venereal diseases. We have we scotch cord your genitalia for free. And if you're worried about COVID, we put a plastic bag over your head and we cinch it at the neck, and you won't get COVID. That's for sure. You might not live, but you won't get COVID. Yeah, and let's see what else. Oh yeah, we have the first male contraceptive. That's correct. Well, I'm gonna tell you how that works. You walk into a bar, let's say, and you meet this nice young lady. You talk to her for a while, and you're about to make the sale, so to speak. And as soon as you're about to, get there, you tell her, "My name is Chris Champagne," and that's the end of that. Okay, yeah, it's 100%. Works 100%. Oh yeah, I forgot one of the drugs. We don't have medical marijuana, but we have something else. We have all of Jeff Landry's speeches, and you shred them up and you put them into a bowl and you smoke them. Okay, and that's a hell of a hallucinogen. Yeah, so it works. That works pretty good. Yeah. Well, yes, there is a penalty if you do not have the health insurance like Landry Care in Louisiana. There is a penalty, and that penalty is premature death. Yes, that's the penalty, premature death. Yeah. Okay, yeah, just call back and you know all about it now. Just let me know if you want something. You got to sign that waiver. That's right. Newman, know where you got them shoe checks. That's right. Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to have a 10-minute intermission now, and I'll be back. And the second half of the show is about 20, 25 minutes long, in case you wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
All right, give it up for Chris. That was hilarious. I don't know if I want Landry Care, though. I'm torn on that. Yes, so we've also got, obviously, Chris needs to save up for Landry Care, too. So we have a little jar here. We would encourage people to give a little bit extra to help Chris out if you would like to put anything in there. And we'll pass it around. And Charles is going to talk about a special event that we've got coming up, I think, on Friday, August 14th. We have all kinds of interesting things going on in the club, and we're going to do an absinthe tasting in a class, right? Yes. So, Charles, tell people about this.
Yes, August 14th, Friday, I'm going to be doing a workshop presentation on the history of absinthe, the culture of absinthe, the influence that it's had on culture. So it's the only liqueur that I know of that was banned for over 100 years in almost all of Europe and America. It's commercially available now, but just going to walk you down the history of it, the science of it, the cultural impacts, and then afterwards we're going to do a little bit of an intermission, and then have some tastings and make different cocktails for y'all with it, and it's going to be a good time. I've given this talk at or similar talks at Contraflow and other events over the years. It's a 20-year-long passion of mine, or 23-year-long passion of mine. I've been studying the history of absinthe and everything to do with it. So if you have any questions about it, come ask me if you see me, and Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Charles. And Chris is going to be back up. He's probably back there looking for that broom to control the pump. And he'll be up in just a minute. And if you guys want to find out more about our group, visit mysticcrew.com, MYSTICKREWE. And as I said, anybody that wants to tune in from home, you can tell them Facebook.com/PinChurch, YouTube.com/PinChurch. And in just a moment, we're going to have Chris back up with the last little part of his comedy stylings. And pay attention, there will be a test later. Chris is going to have some kind of a slideshow that he's going to be doing. All right, y'all, in just a minute, Chris is going to be back up. Sometimes we'll do a set, we'll take a little bit of a longer break, but this time, just a short little break, and then after his performance, we're still going to be hanging out, and you're welcome to hang out, play all of the games, which we've got games here from 1932 all the way to the present. And if you haven't tried the red beans and rice, be sure to check those out. We have all kinds of goodies around here. Somebody asked how many pinball machines do we have? Over 100 in our collection. There's probably close to 60 that are around in the general vicinity for play. But we also run the games at the Broad Theater, so if you've been to the Broad Theater, that's our arcade that we run there too.
I want to take this little interlude here to thank everyone again so much for coming. I appreciate it. And if you, those of you who haven't been here before, this is a pretty cool place, huh? So I'm really glad that you could come and see it. Now, before I start the second half of the show, I did bring my prop. This is my $10.1 million software. It's a shoebox. Just pick a number. $87, $115, something like that.
I'm gonna gamble. Pick mine out.
Okay, you want to be on there? Yours is minus $71. You got lucky. All right. Okay, I just destroyed the equipment. Oh, God.
My electricity bill.
Yeah, I already.
AV Club.
Okay. All right. Well, we at Newman Insulting, again, we've been insulting politicians since 1998. It's my consulting firm. We got another call, and it was about the refurbishment of the Six Flags property, which they have tried many times, and we at Newman Insulting are pretty sure that it will fail again this time. So we decided to come up with a plan. Now, we don't have a name for the new amusement park, so we decided to call it Numaland. And call it after me, Numaland. Now, it's in New Orleans East, as you all know. So we decided we wanted to get some feedback from the community. So we went out there to have a meeting. And it didn't work out like we wanted to because there was so much gunfire outside, we couldn't understand anybody what they're trying to tell us. So they had to write it down for us. But we did come to a consensus that almost everybody out there wanted a water park. So, no problem. So we went to the Sewage and Water Board immediately, and we made them promise that they would make sure that the catch basins are clogged 100% of the time in that area, which means whenever it rains, we will have an incredible whitewater rafting attraction. And we will have, somebody's gonna give us free kayaks, and you just come and just jump in. You don't even have to pay to get in. You can just have the time of your life. It'd be one of the greatest water parks, or water parks, because it's a water park, because it's here. But it'll be a great water park. Okay. So then the next problem we faced was that not many people want to go necessarily to New Orleans East, unfortunately. Now we're going to change that, we hope, but we can't change it overnight. So we decided that you will not have to actually travel through New Orleans East to get to Newmerland. We will have a blimp at the Four Seasons at the foot of Canal Street, and you will get on the blimp. You will fly. It'll be, you'll get a great view of the city and the river like you could never get unless you were a bird. And when you get to the park, you will zip line into the park. So you'll get off to a great start right away. It'll be a lot of fun. And of course, then the question arises, you have to get back to New Orleans or wherever you go to your car. So we have a contract with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, the North Korean Army, and Hamas, and they will escort you safely back into the city. So we got that covered. Now, we broke it down, Newmerland, into 3 areas. The rides, of course, any amusement park needs to have rides, and a midway, and then we'll have concessions and a gift shop. So, now, we want to make sure that this is the most New Orleans amusement park that it could possibly be. So the first ride is going to be a human-size plastic plexiglass gerbil ball. You will go into the gerbil ball, you'll sit down, they'll strap you in, we'll seal it up, and we will have a replica of the Canal Place parking lot ramp that you come down, okay? And I know that everybody that's gone to the movies there has thought, man, this would be great to skateboard down this baby or something, or roll down this. So that's the first ride that you'll see when you walk into the place. Now the next one is it's going to be a replica kind of the Hard Rock Hotel, and it's kind of like the Wild Mouse. You know, when you're on the Wild Mouse at Pontchartrain Beach, you thought you were going to go over the end, but if you're in the hotel, Hard Rock Hotel at Newmerland, you'll be on the top floor and you'll think it's going to fall and collapse at every turn. And it's built by the people who built Jenga. So we have Jenga champions that will pull pieces of the hotel out while you're looking in horror, and it'll creak and creak and creak, and as you go down, trying to escape, dust will fall over you. And of course, the dust, of course, will be powdered sugar from the beignet place. So this will be a great photo op when you escape the Hard Rock Hotel unscathed. Now, the next one is, of course, you can't have really an amusement park without bumper cars. And here's where we have a private-public partnership with the personal injury attorneys to pay for the bumper cars, and you are required to really hit each other head-on, and if a truck bumper car happens to pull off, you have to try to angle to where it hits you. And then there's phones in every car, and you can call up the attorney who's sponsoring your bumper car. Now, we're building prototypes of this park and rides, and we're having a little trouble with this bumper car because every day when we go in, the bumper cars have been carjacked. So we run out of money with these cars, but we can afford your head. Then we have a street maze. It's a replica of Uptown, perfect replica of Uptown, and you can't get there from here. You know, you got to take a right or left, a right or left, a right or left, a right or left. And the interesting thing about our street maze, it's already done, pretty much. And when you come in on the blimp, if you look at the street maze ride, if you look close, you can see some of the streets, and they spell something, and it spells Cantrell. Cantrell. It's amazing. It's amazing. But you have to be on the blimp to see it, you know. And the other thing about the street maze, we sent the engineers, every day we send the engineers through the maze to make sure they can get through it. So, we don't want to open it unless it works right. And unfortunately, none of them have been able to find their way out. They have cell phones, and we have to call them, and we have to go with helicopters to get them and everything. But we figured we'll work the bugs out of that one. Then we have a shooting gallery. It's a replica of the first 2 blocks of Bourbon Street. And we have thugs running up and down, shooting blanks, and we have lots of portalettes there for you. And we are going to stock it with deer as well, just in case. And then we also have the next ride is the Lakeview Grand Prix. And it is a replica of the actual streets of Lakeview. The most swales and buckles and potholes. And we're going to have a public-private partnership with some of our hospitals. And by the way, you do have to sign a medical waiver before you come to New Milan, by the way. And we're going to have fake cars that are going to go 100 miles an hour through Lakeview streets, and of course there'll be a lot of bloodshed. So at the end, we're going to have a blood drive, and we'll never have a blood shortage again in New Orleans with our public-private partnership with Oshner or LCMC or whoever we get to sponsor it. And let's see. Then we have the newest ride. It's like the Tunnel of Love. You get into it, you go inside, it's dark, you really can't see anything, but it's called the Tunnel of Gloves. And what you do, you constantly hear screaming and bickering and fighting, the voices of Liz Murrell, D.A. Williams, Laurie White, Helena Moreno, Jeff Landry, Clay Higgins, just screaming at each other for 10 minutes. It's enough to horrify anybody. We also have on hand at New Milan a lot of mental health professionals, because some of these rides and some of these attractions, you're going to have to kind of get some help before you go home. And then the Midway, that's all the rides that we have so far, and I think we're probably going to get rid of the Bourbon Street one. I just kind of slipped that one in, but anyway, I always go a little bit too far. That's and but anyway, the Midway. When you walk into the Midway, there's a Krugerrand sitting right there in the entrance, and we have somebody who has a piece of metal, and they kind of shove the Krugerrand around a while to make sure, so you can see that it's not anchored to the ground; it's loose. So you conceivably you could pick it up, but you have to pick it up with your hands. You can't pick it up with your tongs or anything. That would be cheating. And you can't pick it up, okay, because that Krugerrand belonged to Congressman Bill Jefferson, which means that Krugerrand is so hot that nobody could touch it. In fact, it's so hot that it has the same temperature as the surface of Venus. And that is why he had to put that money in the freezer, because that money was so hot, he had to put it in the freezer so he could touch it. So you got the Krugerrand, you can pick a picture with the Krugerrand, but you can't touch the Krugerrand because it'll burn your fingers off. So then we have something called the Pothole Garden, which is almost close to all of our hearts, the potholes in New Orleans. Now, the biggest pothole that we have, we're going to fill it with water, and we're going to get Ron Foreman to go to Scotland and try to buy the Loch Ness Monster. And we're going to put the Loch Ness Monster in that pothole at New Milan. Now, of course, nobody really knows what the Loch Ness Monster looks like. So, I mean, we could put anything in there. And they could say, that's the Loch Ness Monster, but that's neither here nor there. That's our plan. Now, also in the pothole garden, we have a hole, a bottomless hole, that it says it goes all the way to China. So you can throw something in this hole, and you never hear it hit the bottom because it just keeps going. See, it's supposed to go to China. Now, of course, people don't believe that, but every once in a while, something is thrown at the other end, and something comes from China. So, maybe so. Like, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, we had some of the families in to kind of look around, and somebody's grandpa, unfortunately, fell into the hole. Well, we figured, we didn't hear anything, so we figured grandpa's lost forever. But then about 2 weeks later, sure enough, a note fell out of the hole, and it was from China. And it was a ransom note, $30,000 to get grandpa back. So maybe it does go to China. I don't know. Now, the other hole there, we have another hole there, another pothole. Again, it's a bottomless hole also, but this is a useful hole. See, if you have a house and a mortgage in New Orleans, you need homeowners insurance. So we're going to get the legislature to pass a law that this will qualify you for homeowners insurance. So it's the homeowners insurance hole, pothole. You bring some money, say like, $150, something like that, whatever we decide on, and you just throw it into this bottomless hole. And it's kind of like having homeowners insurance. You just kind of pay it, but you never have, if something happens, they don't want to pay you, so it's like, but you'll get a certificate that says you have homeowners insurance. So it could be very helpful. Now, another thing about the Midway, we want to create jobs for some of our unfortunate people. So if you have been arrested and you're a juvenile in New Orleans with a grant from the Junior League of New Orleans Inc. or somebody, we're going to send some of these young people to Europe to learn from the greatest pickpockets on earth in Barcelona, Rome, Madrid, Paris. And they're going to come back really skilled, and we will hire them at New Milan. And when you come to New Milan and you pay your admission, you get a little token, you put it in your pocket, and at the end, these pickpockets are supposed to pick these tokens out of your pocket, and at the end of the day, if you still have your token, you can get a prize. You can buy dinner at Galatois, something like that. But these pickpockets are pretty good, so they're going to probably, you won't know it, but they'll pick your pocket. So the prizes are really good. There won't be too many prizes given away. And we also have several dogs that look just like Scrim, and they're going to be running loose through the whole park. It'll really give a real festive little feel. But one of those dogs is going to be Scrim. And Scrim has a bullet in him. So you can rent a metal detector. And you can sit on a bench, eat some popcorn, and see if you can figure out which one is Scrim. It's just something to pass the day, something that you tell your grandchildren you did years later. We tried to find Scrim with a metal detector. Now, also, we have the Statue Square. Statue Square. This is one of the features that really stick out from far away. We have a 50-foot statue of Edwin W. Edwards, four-time governor of Louisiana, and it's made out of 10 trillion Legos. Legos is going to do it for us for the advertisement. And the thing about the Edwin Edwards statue is that you are encouraged, if you come to New Milan, to actually steal a piece off of the statue as a tribute to Edwin Edwards. And it'll be inscribed, so you can bring it home to Bellingham, Washington, or wherever you go, and you'll have a little souvenir that says you have a piece of the Edwin Edwards Lego sculpture from New Milan. I think that's a really nice feature. I mean, it's a souvenir you don't have to pay extra for. Now, also in Statue Square, we have a replica of Lee Circle, of the column. And every 15 seconds, the figure at the top changes. It's Robert E. Lee to start the day, then it's Harry Lee, then it's Bruce Lee, then it's Spike Lee, then it's Gypsy Rose Lee, then it's Sarah Lee, and it just keeps going, Lee, 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 Lee. That way you get to keep Lee Circle and everybody's happy. Thank you so much, yes. Thank you very much. I'm very proud of that idea, actually, yes. And this next one, too, this is we have what we call the Mitch Landrieu Statue Garden. And what it is it's life-size statues of 50 to 100 famous people, statues of them. But these statues are a tribute to Mitch, so they're different because each of these statues has a removable head. You just screw the head off. If you don't like Robert E. Lee, you scream off and you put Frederick Douglass's head up there, okay, or somebody else, Willie Mays, or or Ty Cobb, or anybody. Now, you say if we would have had this rule in New Orleans a long time ago, that in order to put a statue in New Orleans, you have to have a screw-off head. Everything would be okay. When things change, you just take the head off, But they don't listen to Numa insulting. Now, the other thing we're going to have here now, this is another public-private partnership with the fairgrounds and the carpetbaggers from Churchill Downs. It's a pari-mutuel racing for oysters. Now, we have 12 oysters lining up to race, and we figure, okay, you pay, you bet on one of the oysters, and we figure the race won't be over for maybe 200 or 300 years. So that way, they get to keep the money, you see, Churchill Downs. See, and I heard that when we told them this idea that some of their male executives have had woodies for 14 months when they think about this, that they get the money and they never have to pay it back. Now, they also are very kind, and they've decided the fairgrounds, also to pay for all of the toilets, all the bathrooms. Of course, there'll be paid toilets, of course. So I paid them back, and I've had all the artists in New Orleans design commodes and urinals. They look just like all the executives at the fairgrounds. So that makes me happy, just that particular thing. And so let's see, I think I've covered all the ground of our midway now, so we go to the concessions. Now, we have snowballs. We have a special flavor. It's OPP. Tastes like heroin. It's not heroin, but it tastes. And we have a chicken shack. We have jerk chicken. Actually, it's called Cantrell chicken, but it's just jerk chicken, no, but it's called Cantrell chicken. Ha. And then we have something that you only find in New Orleans. These are chickens that are raised in the 9th Ward, the lower 9 and the upper 9. They're the New Orleans free-range chicken. The meat tastes like weed and PBR. Okay, so it's a very distinct flavor, and you can't get it anyplace else. Then we have the people from Shell Beach came down, and they have a sushi place. It's really just a bait and tackle shop, but they call it a sushi place. And who knows the difference, you know? And then there's a bar. It's dedicated to Al Copeland, the Al Copeland Bar. And we have a couple of signature cocktails there. We have tequila, Big Shot pineapple, and a little splash of Bach's red drink. It's called the Margarita from Araby. And then we have the Al Copeland signature cocktail, which is just vodka and crab boil. Okay, which I think he would probably, you know. Now the gift shop is kind of interesting because you'll be surprised when you go there. Now, you get to the gift shop, is the last thing you see, and what it is you get a chance to buy your own stuff, because it's actually things that have been stolen over the years from people all over New Orleans, and in fact, people that they go to your house, they steal stuff while you're at New Milan, and you'll be surprised. You can go back into the gift shop, and you can buy your own stuff. I think that's that's a nice thing. And well, anyway, we think at New Milan that we have a better idea than whatever they've come up with before. And we think this is the most New Orleans amusement park that you're ever going to find. So I hope that it comes to fruition, and thank you for listening. Thank you. Okay. So now, the last part of the show, I have visuals on this screen up here. So I'm going to go talk to my assistant really quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got a lot of time on my hands, so I've been goofing around with AI, and AI is pretty good for comedy, depending on how you look at it. I actually told it one day, I said, AI, my lifelong ambition was to have a pasta shaped like my body and named after me. And it said that it was a great idea. It was a niche product. Because you see, they shouldn't call it AI, they should call it AK. Because it kisses your ass to a white heat, does AI. So anyway, it went on and on and on and on, but that's another story. So I decided that I wanted to do something about Miss Moreno, who just made her 6 months in office. So I decided to do a film based on the first 6 months of Miss Moreno's tenure. So I have a storyboard that I made from my ideas and the help of the AI. So I'm going to share that with you, okay? The name of the movie is Perdido, because Perdido means lost in Spanish, and City Hall is located on Perdido Street. There's Hawthorne and Melville again at the symbolism desk in heaven. So this is the poster for the show. It's got City Hall in the back. There's Miss Moreno there. There's Joe Giarrusso is an owl, says tax. And there's J.P. Morella's Phantom of the Opera down there in the corner. Next. Now, we had a lot of water boil advisories here. But just think about this. The crawfish and the shrimp and the crabs have got to be freaked. They wake up every morning, it goes, water boil advisory. I mean, they're not going to go anywhere. Next. Now, we had water mains break all over town. They need money. They need money in New Orleans. So what they're going to do is they're going to change them all into wishing wells. They're going to make them fountains. There'll be a city of fountains, and you can throw money in there, and make a wish. You make a wish. Next. And this is what it comes to. We're going to have water skiing down St. Charles Avenue with lifeboats on the side. It looks pretty good, don't you think? It looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Next. Now, what these water main breaks happened during the time when St. Patrick's and St. Joseph's Day, and they were throwing cabbages and potatoes, and the Guinness Book of World Records declared, I don't know, St. Charles Avenue or one of them, Willow Street, the biggest vegetable soup on earth. This is all during Miss Marino's tenure. That's not all her fault, but nonetheless. Next. Now this is we adapt. We adapt in New Orleans. So there's a new classic dish at all the restaurants. It's got shrimp etouffee 21, shrimp creole 20, crab meat ravigot 24, oyster soup $17. New Orleans boiled water $25 a gallon. $25 a gallon. All right, next. Okay, now we had this TSA, strike or whatever. It was during the water boil advisories, though. And see, in New Orleans, there were people lining up, not because of the TSA necessarily, but because they wanted to get out of town because they wanted to go somewhere where they could find clean drinking water. So that's why we had so many people in New Orleans. Next. Now, this is a good sign. People looking at the TV, Miss Moreno's on the TV, and instead of a water boil advisory, it is a water simmer. A water simmer warning. So we're moving in the right direction. Instead of boiling the water, we just have to simmer it for a change. Okay, next. Now we're back to the Sewage and Water Board. They want more money. And what they're going to do with that money is they're going to clog up all of the catch basins. You can see all that money is going to go right into those catch basins one way or another, believe me. Next. The flooding was caused by human error. No kidding. Hiring you and electing anyone around here is serious human error. Maybe we should indict the rain. Next. Now, they're trying everything they can to get money out of us for this budget deficit. And this is where it's going to come to. There's going to be 5,000 cameras everywhere, like school zone cameras. They're going to give you tickets. They're going to, now if they give you a boot, it's like, twice as much money. I mean, I don't know. Next. Now, this is another thing that they're going to try to do. They're going to have pari-mutuel betting every time there's a jailbreak. You'll be able to bet on the inmates. They have numbers already on them, so you can, they're already playing along, You have 10 to choose from, and then the fairgrounds make some more money, which they love very much. Next. Now, the solution is Mardi Gras has $900 million economic impact on the city. So they're $4 million short in their budget. So now they're gonna make the riders pay $25 extra to make up the money. Meanwhile, they have $16 million at NOPD fraud, $25 million for a DNA lab that it doesn't work in 4 years. I mean, they have pissed away so much money, it's unbelievable. But now they're going to give you a $25 fee. Next. Now, they're going to they want to get your money so bad, they're going to pass a law where you have to walk on your hands whenever you walk down the street. That way your money will fall out of your pocket, and then Joe Giarrusso will come back with a basket and pick up all your money. All right, next. And this is what's going to come to. Why don't they just do this right away? They're going to put a QR code tattoo on everybody's forehead, so when no matter where you go, they can just take whatever they want out of your bank account. Next. Please. Next. Now, this goes to show you what chance we got around here. This is a golf leaderboard. Now, I didn't get a chance to alter it, but I'm going to go over it with you. It's New Orleans indictments. At the bottom, we have Jack Strain, 16. Now, of course, we have to add Liz Murrell. She has 16 indictments. She would be number 10. Tied with Jack Strain. Number 9, LaToya Cantrell, 18. Irvin Mayfield, 19. And he's not even a public official, 19. Bianca Brown, 19. That's the Susan Hudson's aide. Ray Nagin, 21. Aaron Broussard, you remember him? Evan Broussard is the man who used to run Jefferson Parish. He flooded Jefferson Parish during Katrina the hard way without the levees breaking. Susan Hudson, 30. Edwin W. Edwards, oldie but a goodie, 34. Ashton Ryan, the banker, 46 indictments. And the winner, it's kind of cheating, the Jefferson Family Gang, 154 indictments total. So this is the people who are leading our governments around here. So what chance have we got? Next. Crime is down in New Orleans. As our superintendent, she got the hat on her. I don't know if she can ever get it off her head, but she's got it on there. Crime is down, murder 70%, they said. But I have to point out that if you were the one who was murdered, it goes up to 100% immediately. Next. Well, we don't have enough cops, so they decided to buy 500 Barney Fife scarecrows and put them all over downtown and hope that that will, get rid of the crime, at least tamp it down a little bit. Next. Well, I don't know how much you drive in New Orleans. I drive there a lot. In most cities, these are called traffic lights, says the tour guide. In New Orleans, we call them suggestion trees. That's better than traffic light. Next. Scientists claim New Orleans needs to start depopulating due to climate change. I have a list of the people who should leave first. And the scientists should be number one. Okay, that's number one. Next. Now, after this came out, SpongeBob bought Mandina's as a investment for the future, because when New Orleans is underwater, he can open up a Krabby Jack's there. It's already a spot, you know what I mean? Next. And here is Miss Marino going to Greenland. This is after the Murrell bullshit. She says, would Greenland by any chance be interested in annexing New Orleans? Maybe that's what it'll come to. And then finally, at the end of my film, it comes down to this. Next. Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun. Okay, no, next. You're right, okay. Here is Miss Marino, who said when she got in there that she didn't know how bad the deficit was. She didn't know how bad this is. She didn't know how bad that is. She didn't know how bad this is. Well, maybe not, okay, but she says, yes, I didn't know these problems were so bad, even though I was less than 1 centimeter from them for 8 years. I mean, get out of here. You know what I mean? Come on. You want to be the king? You got to know something. Next. This is the last one of the film. Marino's first 6 months. She's just up there with a sign. It's flooded in New Orleans. She just scratches out New Orleans and gives up the ghost. It just renames New Orleans Atlantis. And that's my film, Perdido. Well, that's the end of the show. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank everybody for looking in online, if anybody is. And I want to thank Mike and the PinChurch. Thank my assistant back there who helped me with that. And stick around, play the pinball machines. I got some beer back there if you like, and you probably have brought something yourself. We can sit around and schmooze. I do have some copies of my 3 books. And I have a comedy thing that I did a long time ago with a friend of mine. And so I have those for sale, too, if anybody wants any. But I can't think of anything else except just to say thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody give it up for Chris Champagne!
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chris, for coming out. That was tremendous fun. We appreciate it. And that was really hilarious.
We got people watching this from other states. They don't realize how why you're saying